Playful Pat and the Tooth Fairy Adventure by Misa Kelly. Pat was known to be quite playful. When his big eyes sparkled and his little freckles twitched, you never knew what Pat would be up to next. Pat had a loose tooth. Pat would wiggle the tooth with his tongue. Pat would wiggle the tooth with his thumb. Pat would wiggle that tooth all day and all night until he finally wiggled it free. Pat was so excited he ran to his mom and told her he had lost his first tooth. His mom did not seem happy and told Pat if he had done a better job brushing his teeth like she told him, he would not have lost a tooth. Pat reminded her that the dentist said he would soon be losing his teeth to make room for his grown-up teeth. His mom shook her head and said, "Pat, you are growing up too fast." Pat gave his mom a hug and said, "I will always love you, Mom," and his mom said, "And you will always be my little boy, even when you have all your grown-up teeth." His mom continued with a smile, "And yes, I know you always do a good job brushing your teeth. Now please go brush your teeth and get ready for bed." Pat was excited to go to bed tonight so the Tooth Fairy would come. When his mom tucked him in, Pat exclaimed that he was going to wait up all night until the Tooth Fairy came. His mom turned off the light, and in no time, Pat was fast asleep. In the middle of the night, Pat was awake. He felt a strange tickle on his nose. He turned on his lamp and there she was. It was the cutest little fairy you ever did see, just floating in the air. Her wings were so fast you could not see them move. Pat yelled, "Mom, Mom, get in here fast." The Tooth Fairy said, "Pat, please do not call your mom," then she broke out in a sob. Pat asked her what was wrong. She said, "Tonight is my first night, and if I get caught, I will lose my wings. And a fairy without wings is not good at all." Pat did not want her to cry or to lose her wings, so he said he would not get his mom and she probably did not hear him yell for her. The fairy said her name was Emma, and Pat introduced himself and said, "I am Pat." He said, "Can I ask you a question?" And she said, "Of course." Pat asked what it was like to fly. Emma thought for a moment and said, "Would you like to find out?" Pat said, "Well, of course I would." Emma said she needed to go to New York and to Florida and asked Pat if he would like to come. Pat said yes, "But how do I fly? I am so much bigger than you." She said not to worry, all my wishes do come true, and I wish for you to fly. And with that, Pat started to float up to the ceiling and bumped his head. Emma giggled and said, "Your arms are now wings," and off they went through the window of Pat's room. Emma said, "Follow me," and they flew fast down the middle of the street. No one seemed to see them because they were so fast. Pat had a hard time keeping up with Emma, but somehow he managed, and they flew across the city and across the farmlands until he could see it in the distance. The Statue of Liberty. Pat could not believe his eyes. She looked strong and brave yet welcoming. They continued on until they saw the biggest waterfall of them all. It must be Niagara Falls. The water was rushing down and was so loud, it also made the air feel cool and wet. Finally, they stopped at an apartment building that was at least 40 stories high. Emma said, "How do you like it so far?" Pat said he loved it and it was so fun to fly, he felt so free. Emma said, "I need to drop off a coin to a little girl in room 202. You rest here on the balcony and wait for me." Pat agreed and waited. He looked at the night sky in New York. It was a sight to be seen with skyscrapers all around him, the lights twinkled like stars. Emma was back and asked if he was ready to go. Pat shook his head yes, and off they went to the Florida Keys. At some parts of the flight, all they could see was the tops of trees, hundreds and hundreds of beautiful trees all around. The air grew warm and humid. They were getting close. Pat saw lots of water all around and many islands connected by a very long bridge. They made their way to a house that was off the water, and Emma told Pat to rest and she would be back. He said he would and asked if he could help her tomorrow. Emma said she did not think so, that Pat needed to rest himself. Pat said, "I don't need to rest, I would like to fly." Emma told Pat, "That is when you grow and regain your strength to enjoy each day." Pat said that was nonsense, he wanted to fly with her. She said, "Pat, wait here. I'll be back." Pat listened to the water lap up on the shore. He listened for quite a while. He waited and waited and grew tired. Pat felt the sun on his face, stretched his legs, and yawned. He opened his eyes, and he was tucked in his bed. He reached under his pillow, and there was a coin where his tooth had been. And what was this but a little note that had a heart and Emma? Hit that subscribe button, leave your comments below, and let us know where you think Pat should go next. The world is waiting, and the adventure begins now. Embark on an enchanting journey with Pat and Emma the Tooth Fairy in Playful Pat and the Tooth Fairy Adventure. When Pat loses his first tooth, he discovers that there's more magic in store than just a visit from the Tooth Fairy. Join them as they soar through the night sky, visiting iconic landmarks like the Statue of Liberty and Niagara Falls. Along the way, Pat learns valuable lessons about growing up, kindness, and the power of imagination. This heartwarming tale is filled with wonder and the joy of discovery, making it a must-read for children everywhere. Get ready to be swept away on a magical adventure that will leave you believing in the magic of dreams.